Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, on today's episode, we are going to take a look at 9 of the biggest winners from the 2023 high school recruiting cycle. Ryan, why don't you get us started with your first winner?
I'll take the easy one here. Take the easy way out. Alabama, easily the number one class this year. Not quite as good as Texas A&M's class last year, but it was actually pretty darn close. They made a real good run at it. 9 5-stars, 18 4-stars. They only had 1 3-star, and it was a kicker, so it doesn't really count. So that's just, elite talent everywhere. I could go on and on about specific details of what players or what positions, but it's like every position has elite guys. They brought in a big class. This is like 27 players or something like that. So just everywhere littered with talent. I did find it interesting they took 2 quarterbacks. Not like the elite quarterbacks, actually, to be honest. There's, top 100 and type guys, but not like 5-star quarterbacks. So, but it'll be interesting. That's going to be a crowded room there, and competition breeds success, I guess, down there, but they're good.
All right. My first winner is Oklahoma, because this is Brent Venables' first full cycle, and he's on track to put together a roster that is as talented as Lincoln Riley had put together, if not more, from at least a high school recruiting perspective. They're at 4th in the 24/7 composite rankings. That would be their first top 5 class since 2010. So not even Lincoln Riley was able to do that. And this is after finishing 8th in their transition class last year, which was unbelievable. So off to a great start recruiting wise. And they're also bringing in a good transfer class. They've got 12 players, a solid group there. Usually you've got to kind of choose, like, am I going heavy portal or am I going to get a lot of high school guys? They were able to do both and do both well. So, from high school, they're getting their quarterback of the future, maybe the present, but Dylan Gabriel likely have something to say about that. But 5-star Jackson Arnold. They flipped a Notre Dame and Oregon commitment, 5-star safety Peyton Bowen. So just a loaded class top to bottom.
What's interesting, it's a fun factoid, or at least I think. What Brent Venables, how many? There's at least three Brents I can come up with as far as first name head coaches in college football. You think that's the most popular head coach name, Brent? Yeah, Brent Key, Brent Pry.
Not.
No, there's only 120 something more. Maybe Mike or something.
Yeah, probably Mike is
probably
Mike.
More.
Or
I want to think about it. I got to think about it because
there's
3 Brents.
I don't know that.
Like,
I would need to look at a list.
Dan,
3 Brents
yeah,
just came to my head. Like, yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. But now
How about
Venables
Jimbo? I bet there's a lot
to,
of Jimbos. No.
Yeah, definitely a ton of Jimbos. Yeah, Kalani's, a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's more than 3 Mikes.
I'm not sure, Ryan. I will look. I'll look on the Wikipedia list of head coaches and try and figure this out. Mark Stoops, Ryan. Mike Stoops is long gone. Maybe Mark.
Wow.
Next, Ryan's gonna say Mark D'Antonio. No.
Yeah.
But anyway, so everything's going well in recruiting Oklahoma. Obviously, on the field was disappointing, but so Venables year 2 has to be a jump forward to kind of keep that momentum going.
Yep. Well, I'll stay in the Big 12 and talking about needing momentum. Texas, I do think, is still a winner, though, here. They've obviously recruited well before, but number 3 ranked class as we stand today, that's as good as it's been. They haven't brought in, they had 4 5-stars in this class. They haven't done that before. Arch Manning, of course, is the prize. But you could argue that they addressed their team needs the most, the biggest needs in this class. They lose Bijan Robinson. They add a 5-star Cedric Baxter. The defense, we know, struggled mightily. They added the number 1 inside linebacker, Anthony Hill. They added a 4-star corner and safety. So they had kind of addressed those needs. It's a very good class. These guys are going to get their feet wet for a year or two before playing in the SEC. Now it's just up to Sark. Can he coach them up?
Yep. Yeah, that's always been the
By
key
the way,
thing
Ryan,
there.
I just kind of browsed through the list. There are a lot of Mikes. There are a lot of, so it's definitely got Brent beat.
I wonder if Brent's second.
Okay.
I don't even think it's second. Like I don't know.
Okay, isn't it surprising that there's 3 Brents?
There's Jeff, John, Jim. There's some other ones that are up there, but I don't have time right now.
Surprised there's 3 Brents out of.
Nice try, Ryan.
That is a lot. It's a lot of Brents.
It's a lot of Brents per capita, right? Yes.
And maybe there's a Brent we're not even thinking of. I don't know.
True. I doubt it, but maybe. All right. Moving on. Miami is a winner, 7th rated class here. That's impressive for a team that finished 5-7 and didn't look all that good throughout the year. So a good haul there for the new head coach, Mario Cristobal, heading into his second season. Desperately needed it because apparently they need the talent. With Cristobal, no surprise here. He hit the linemen really hard. That's just what he knows he has to do. Their top 2 rated guys are both 5-star offensive tackles. So that's just a huge thing for him. And they took 5 offensive linemen total. And then you flip to the defensive side. Their top 2 defensive recruits are kind of edge rushers, coupled that with a couple of big guys in the middle. So the lines are looking good as long as they develop them. Didn't hit on a highly rated quarterback. They did get a 3-star, Emory Williams from Florida. So not ideal there, but talent around him is good. So obviously a winner on the recruiting front.
Okay, going from one, strong NIL team to another, from Miami to Tennessee is my next winner. And because the biggest question mark, when they hired Josh Heupel, I think with him was, is he going to be able to recruit in the SEC with the big boys? Because he wasn't really known for that, didn't elevate the recruiting at UCF. And his first full cycle in 2022 finished 17th, which, compared to expectations and what was going on at the program was fine, but not what you want if you want to compete for SEC titles. Well, this year they're up to 9th after their success on the field, and 8 of their 13 blue chip signees are on defense, which is obviously the side of the ball that needs some work. So that's good. And the star of the class, obviously, Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback who you think will right away compete with Joe Milton to get that starting job as a freshman. So you think eventually when he gets that job, he'll do okay in a Josh Heupel offense.
Yeah, you'd think.
Right. All right, I'll stay in the SEC. I'll go to South Carolina. They're the 16th ranked class, a shade better than even the Spurrier classes. They added 5-star Harbor, one of the top athletes out there. He could be kind of a tight end or a D end. He's an athlete.
He's a freak. He's an absolute freak.
He is a monster. But Shane Beamer kind of showing, that some of the on-field success that they've had is translating to the recruiting front. And you can kind of see before our eyes how the Gamecocks are moving up the ladder in the SEC. Obviously, they're still way behind Alabama and Georgia, even LSU. But they're in the mix in terms of recruiting with the rest, kind of like the Tennessee, Florida, Texas A&M now, Auburn, that kind of middle group. And I also like this class because the best players are on both lines and also athletes. So there's a good foundation to build around there for Beamer.
Yeah, Beamer keeps doing well. All right, moving on to the team that was in the national championship, TCU. They got the 19th rated class coming in, which might not jump out at you as far as a national title team, but for TCU, that's pretty darn good. Taking advantage of their great run this year. Kind of what has me encouraged here, kind of like we've touched on, kind of like with Tennessee, their best recruits are on the defensive side of the ball. The clear strength of that class, 6 4-stars on defense for TCU. That's impressive there for Sonny Dykes, because we kind of know Sonny from the past always has a good offense, but his defense just doesn't quite pull it together. And they got three 4-stars on the defensive line alone. So putting some work in, and with Sonny, you're going to have a great offense. If you can just pair with even a little better defense, boom. Running that future Big 12 without, OU and Texas, this is the best class minus those teams. So the future looks really, it's obviously good now. It's going to look good in the future too. So setting themselves up well.
Yeah, there's a new bar for recruiting now that Oklahoma and Texas are going to be out. So
any top 20 class is going to be really good.
Yep. That's why another winner I have here, Texas Tech. They got a lot of buzz early in the recruiting cycle because they had so many early commitments. Were they number 1 at one point? I don't know. They were in
the top 5.
Yeah, really close. Yeah.
Top 5. And you knew that they would fall. But this is still a big win. They fell to 26th, which is probably roughly where you thought they might end up, somewhere in the 20 to 30 range. But Texas Tech hasn't had a top 40 class since 2015. So great job by Joey McGuire here. This is actually their best class since 2011, and number 2 in the Big 12 if you ignore Oklahoma and Texas.
Yep,
that's great. All right, I'm going to go out west to Utah. This is Utah's best high school class they've ever had. 21st as they stand today, well positioned in the Pac-12. Obviously, just they've won the last 2, but with USC and UCLA leaving, the recruiting is going to keep them at the top or near the top of the Pac-12. Their top 2 commits are offensive linemen, which kind of makes sense under Whittingham and their offensive style. They got 8 4-stars. That's a pretty impressive haul. A couple corners to lock down after they lose Clark Phillips. They also recruited nationally. They got guys from California, Texas, Florida. Florida, they had success previously getting Moss and Huntley. They locked down 3 of the top 5 Utah players. They even threw in a couple from Mississippi and Kansas. So they went, across the country to get this class, and it's a very good class for Whittingham.
Okay, well, that'll do it for our 9 winners of the 2023 recruiting cycle. There's plenty more, so let us know in the comments below any teams that we missed. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and check out our Recruiting Losers episode, which will be out shortly after this one. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.